Hello, welcome back to Only Pistols. Today we're having a look at a FAS 604. This is a single-stroke pneumatic 177 target pistol, produced from the 1980s through to the 2010s. And this one's referred to as a Mark II. We'll touch on that later, but let's start by having a look at some of the markings. So on this side, you've got the FAS logo, AP604 and the caliber, which is 4.5177. On the other side, made in Italy, and on the underside, catalogue 3180, which is the same catalogue number for all the 604s, and this one's serial number 18,031. Otherwise, laser etched on the composite grip, on the laminate grip, and no markings on the rear sight. So you'd better know which way you're moving it before you head out into the range. So let's go on to the sights. The sights, you've got for its time from the 80s, a very good, nice, wide, deep rear sight with a fixed notch, and that's actually made into the rear sight element itself. And at the front, you've got an interchangeable foresight element with a very nice profile, and that just slides into a dovetail, as you can see from the front there. This one's actually got a composite printed foresight because finding the elements is very difficult. Otherwise, fully adjustable trigger, same as adjustments for all the other 604s. The difference in this one is that the trigger shoe is aluminium and the over travel adjustment is now up here rather than coming through the bottom of the trigger shoe as was on the earlier pistols. Functionally exactly the same, but does feel very nice. So let's have a look at some of how you operate this pistol. Well, to open the top lever, because it's a single stroke pneumatic, you've got this catch here, and you quite simply push that in to release the top lever, and then you can just lift that up and over. And now from the underside there, you can see the barrel, which is held in by two screws at this back end and a clamp, and the front is held in place just by the machining in the top cover. And we'll just get a close-up on the rear sight and release, and literally all you do by pushing that lever in is just moving that tab back, and that hooks into that little catch on the back of the receiver. So a very simple system. How do you load it? Well, having opened the pistol all the way up, take a pellet, and it's probably the fiddliest part of it. Just pop the pellet into the end of the barrel. So it seats in there, and then holding the pistol, just close that over, and that's it cocked, ready to go. Take up the trigger, and because it's a single stroke pneumatic, it's very, well, no recoil effectively. So let's just go over that again, and we'll point some other bits and pieces out. So while there is no dry fire switch on one of these, there is a way of making it dry fire, and that is you open the top cover up until you hear the click, and that click is the sear being set. So if you now close the top cover, little bit of air in it, but mainly you've just got the trigger. So it's a way of using it as effectively a dry fire, and it gives you a good ability to train. Other things about this one, this model, well, compared to earlier models, this model on the breech face there, where you can see the air transfer point, has got a support for the back of the barrel. So when you close the barrel down, the top cover down, the barrel, you can see there's a bit of a bulge there at the end of the barrel to accommodate the breech face. That actually sits into those ears, and the earlier models, that was just a plain straight face, so there was nothing there to help it locate. So that's a bit of an improvement. Single stroke pneumatic. So basically what you've got in here is a bicycle piston. You have an aluminium end on the end of this rail, on the end of this piston here, with O-rings on it. When you pull that lever back over, you are compressing the air against the closed valve at this end, and this whole thing rocks. So as you can see, it all moves around a pivot pin. So as you move it around, you've got the trigger, you can see coming back down, because the whole of the mechanism is rotating around a fixed point pivot pin back here. So let's close it up, and you can dry fire it because it's only a bicycle pump. That is it. You can't pump it again. The pressure is held between the end of the bicycle pump and the valve. So when you pull the trigger, all the air goes. But equally, if you opened it back up again, you wouldn't get any more air in. You'd just decompress what you'd already compressed. So this is referred to as a Mark II. What's the construction of this piston? That tells you a lot more about this. So the 604 was originally an all cast aluminium pistol. In common with a lot of the Italian pistols at that time, it was a great leap forward in how to make a really good pistol. So you've got a one-piece frame, complete with the trigger guard. And originally, you had a cast top cover. Exactly the same, effectively, same mounting point, same everything. But it was found over time that there was a bit of a weakness, and you would tend to find that you'd get cracks developing in about this point here. And it was just due to the fact there was a lack of metal, effectively. So the Mark II, as it's referred to, what you've got here is a completely machined from solid billet top cover. Does exactly the same thing. The mounting points for everything are exactly the same. But instead of this all being cast, it's all one piece and machined, which is much stronger, much more durable. Obviously cost a lot more to produce. But otherwise, that top cover mounts the barrel in exactly the same way, and that change there for the top of the cylinder, or the top of the valve work, that's different. The trigger is different, so the original trigger would just be pressed metal, and you've got the laminate grip. That's it, but those are updates rather than specific changes. Other ways of checking to tell you've got this, and this is machined, so it's round at the front. The original top cover was cast, so that was square and would enable you to fit barrel weights in underneath there that were held in by this screw in through a screw in through here. You could also fit the sight extension. The sight extension will fit on these, but you've got to then put a separate nut on the inside to hold them back. So let's talk about why it's the Mark II. Well, like I said, there were effectively from FAS, I've got the figures of 19,999. So you can see this one's 18,000, so it's late on in the series. There were 100 made for the Italian shooting squad, and these were completely machined from solid aluminium, so no castings in them at all. 100 of them. I've never seen a picture, but I've got this from FAS themselves that there were 100 of these. Produced to make a better pistol, different profile. They were reputedly fired the pellet faster, so you had a greater muzzle velocity. So there were obviously some other changes in there as well, but they were not ever sold or never out there on the open market. They were a one-off run for the Italian shooting squad, and that's it. Whoever's got one, well done. They're very, very rare, and I would love one. But what you then had was this known problem by that stage of the top covers having failing. So they started production of putting these machined top covers onto the FAS 604 frames. The aluminium lower frames never had any problem, no problems with elongation of pinholes or anything else. So They were an excellent product. No point in redesigning those. Keep using those as cast aluminium. Internally, FASs have quite a lot of hand fit and finish. What makes them such an excellent pistol. And when these arrived on the market in the early 80s, they were a complete revelation. And compared to the spring pistols that were around at the time, they're lighter, the triggers are lovely, the sights are good, very low operating energy, so single stroke, very easy to do, not tiring to use, and no recoil. Velocity 400 feet per second or thereabouts, more than capable of punching a hole in the paper target. So they were a lovely pistol. But this Mark II, this new top cover, this was obviously far more expensive to produce. And I think that and the move on for target air pistols to, by this stage, CO2 and then compressed air, PCPs, combined with the fact that this is really a target pistol trainer. So this dimensionally is the same dimensions as FAS's 2.2 long rifle, 2.2 short, and their 32 caliber target pistols. So this was very much seen as a trainer for your cartridge pistols. It just happened to be that it was also taken up by a lot of people as a 10-meter target pistol, which is it performs excellently at. The disadvantage, if you're into proper full-on 10-meter target pistol shooting, is that it's quite considerably shorter than a 10-meter pistol. So you're looking at kind of anywhere up to about 75 to 100 mil shorter than a standard pistol, which gives you a much reduced sight radius. And if you're looking for absolute accuracy, the sight radius is what's going to give you that level of accuracy. What it does mean is these are a very forgiving pistol, and that's why a lot of juniors use them, and certainly a lot of pony clubs in the UK use them. So there you have it, the FAS 604 Mark II. Although never known as a Mark II in the catalogue, it was always 380. These were just progressive changes. How many of these are out there? I don't know. This was right at the end of the 604 production. There's not that many. And I think what killed it basically was the cost of production. Also, the founder of FAS died, and with him dying, the end of development within the FAS trademark ended. So that's it. The FAS 604 Mark II Star. An excellent pistol, great fun to shoot, and a lovely thing to fire. Still really good, still accurate, and still completely usable. If you can find one, do. They're really worth it. So if you've liked this, then please like, share, subscribe, and that will help other people find it. And otherwise, I'll see you again soon with another pistol. Thanks very much. Bye.